So all the pictures that you're going to see in today's presentation are of Pembroke. And, with me today is Megan Fournier. She's a senior executive assistant and responsible for a lot of the nice little photos and the graphics in today's presentation, but the real meat and potatoes of this report is Lori Muncy, who is director of the Community Planning and Economic Development Department. She's an extraordinary planner, and many of you may have known her throughout the years and working for OCPC. But before I go forward, I just also want to acknowledge Becky Coletta. She is a delegate. She is the delegate from the town of Pembroke to Old Colony Planning Council. And I know she's also on the select board as well. So welcome, Becky. And I don't know if you have just a quick opening that you would like to add before I turn this over.
Oh, no, thanks. I just wanted to hear what you guys are doing. I know you always do great work. So thank you for your help on this with Pembroke.
Well, I'm never going to take credit for things I do not have anything to do with other than, but I will turn this over to, am I going to turn this to Megan or to Lori? Megan, perfect. Yes. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I will also do my own slight disclosure that I am home and I have a 2.5-year-old and a baby. So if you hear noises in the background, I apologize. That will be what you hear. But thank you for joining us today. As Mary mentioned, we'll be talking about the open space plan that Lori and her team have been working hard on to get the approval process going. And this is really just a nice info session to learn about what is in the very long 250+ page document. And then there'll be questions, if you have questions, Lori is on to answer those at the end. So just a little bit about who Old Colony Planning Council is that is us. We are a regional planning agency. We service 17 communities in our area. And with that, we do a lot of helping assistance on natural resource and environmental planning, transportation planning, comprehensive land use planning, economic development, geographic informational system services, as well as area agency on aging. So that's just a very short list of essentially what we do. An open space really consists of all items, essentially as it sounds, an open space where it's a conservation land, forested land, as you can see on the list, agricultural land, athletic fields, playgrounds, parks, roadways, underdeveloped land, and conservation recreation interest. So what we're really here for is what an open space and recreation plan is. So it's a roadmap for prioritizing open space and recreation projects, a prerequisite for Mass Division of Conservation Service grants, where you can get more funding for doing beautification projects, getting better accessibility for all in your parks, etc. It's a public process. So the plan components include the summary and introduction, what your community setting is, environmental inventory, land inventory, goals that the community has, the analysis of needs, goals and objectives, the action plan, what the public comments have been, as well as the ADA inventory. While working with Pembroke, your town's vision is that Pembroke is a community with a strong commitment to the protection and environmental stewardship of its natural resources. The community has rural character, open spaces, agricultural lands, and water resources that provide opportunities for residents to enjoy clean air and water, recreational opportunities, and diverse plant and wildlife habitats. So getting more into the nitty gritty of where we've gotten our information from, the town has done, at this point in time, 2 public meetings as well as 2 online surveys over the past few years. Many residents have indicated that there is a diverse open space set of spaces in town that strongly contribute to the town's overall identity that makes it so special and lovable. one of the main results that we found during one of the surveys requested was what are the most important contributors to the visual character of the town. And the top three that came up was the historic town center, ample water resources, as well as abundant forested areas. One specific comment that came up a lot was specifically the herring run. Another item that was mentioned repeatedly was that it's a place that embodies scenic quality, and it continuing to make efforts to protect important resources that could potentially be lost to development, which was often voiced throughout the community. 67%, oh, sorry, I am on the wrong slide. 63% stated that they consider Pembroke to be a town in transition. And what this means is, given the trends in growth and development outlined in some of the sections of the nice document, it's apparent that this transition is eroding the town's rural small town character and creating a more developed suburban feel. The fear of losing these characteristics of the town have really been echoed in discussions during the public meetings that we've held to date. 67% of the respondents reported that continuing development was the most imminent threat to the characteristics of the town, and of half of those respondents specifically identified the housing developments as the main danger to that element. Another 68% say that the current open space areas within the town are easy to find and enjoy. However, with that, many have reported that there are several open spaces that are not currently used, and that seemed to be mostly due to the fact that they are unaware that those resources exist. The most common suggestion was to increase usage, was to increase awareness through advertising and promotion. So that includes, social media and the town's website as a main source of doing that. By increasing the awareness and the use of many diverse recreational opportunities within the town, there's areas that become safer and better cared for through an increased sense of public ownership. 93% reported that walking is their principal activity within the town. And with that, there's a need for improvements in signs, maintenance, and access. And so with this, the biggest concern voiced was the lack of proper access to many of these open space areas. So with these concerns, specifically the lack of connected sidewalk routes were frequently noted. And there was also a greater desire for interconnection of existing trail networks, both in Pembroke as well as neighboring towns. Additionally, improving access in the form of increased clearly designated parking areas was highlighted as a community need, as well as improving signs at and leading to the open space areas was encouraged for awareness and more frequent use. After taking these surveys and public meetings, the town developed goals and objectives to get there. So setting these goals, it really focuses on, protecting water quality, providing accessible quality outdoor recreation, protecting wildlife habitats, improving quality of life and health in the communities, addressing climate change, providing places for education and research, as well as protecting and enhancing, your beautiful scenic, historic, and cultural resources. So the first goal that was developed was Pembroke's abundant water resources, ensuring they're clean, sustainably managed, and protected. So, the surface and groundwater of Pembroke are protected through functioning stormwater infrastructure and planning. Residents of Pembroke have reduced their use of fertilizers and pesticides to prevent excess nutrients. And Pembroke works with communities of Brockton, Abington, and Rockland to make sure that withdrawal from the reservoirs does not disrupt hydraulic functions, and really making sure that you have sufficient supply of potable water. The next goal was future development, making sure it's consistent with and protects Pembroke's environmental, historical, and cultural resources. So really you're prioritizing those environmental, historic, and cultural significance for protection. The goal is to keep Pembroke intact, making sure that those characteristics are intact and have not been compromised to accommodate the growth that I think a lot of the town has been seeing. The historic district and town center are revitalized by providing, gathering spaces for citizens and inviting locations for businesses to thrive. Forgive me, one moment. Just going to, here we go. And the next goal developed was an interconnected network of forest, riparian, and wildlife habitats to enhance Pembroke's ecological integrity and sustain a resilient landscape. So really it's to protect and improve the threatened habitats, and extend and connect protected areas to create continuous corridors and educate the public about the value of these ecosystems, as well as monitor and manage these species in the ecologically supportive ways. Next goal is the citizens of Pembroke, helping them to enjoy better access and increased recreational use of the town open space. It seems as though the citizens of Pembroke really value the use of their open spaces as there are many different recreation needs. The well-maintained lands and facilities also allow citizens to physically engage with their town's abundant resources. So really the goal is to increase access and usability, as well as making sure you're in compliance with the ADA standards and really making sure that there is access for all in all shapes and forms. And the fifth and final goal that was developed was planning and management for Pembroke's extensive open space and recreation lands, and making sure it's efficient and coordinated with an accessible database. So really this is focusing on making sure that the various departments and boards of the Pembroke Collaborative, are collaborating in their planning and management of open space, so that there's communication, which is always key, and members from each department would gather to discuss how these open space relates to their work and how they work together to come up with solutions that benefit all departments in the town altogether. So typically an open space plan will have a 7-year action plan. So this is really just ensuring that the goals that are ambitious are met with objectives, and really helping them keep on track. Obviously, as all timelines go, there's always adjustments throughout the time that go with this, and really it's just the importance of helping you stay on pace. So just a quick summary of usually how these action plans go is, within the first year, you're assembling, assessing the public, getting committees together, such as members of the Conservation Commission, the Park and Recreation, DPW, and Planning Board. Then the second year is really engaging the public. So that's educating the public, providing opportunities for the public to volunteer to assist in these elements. Year 3 is to produce funding. So that is, again, finding grant resources, which is a lot of what the open space plan assists you in doing to make sure you can, again, fund these projects that you are interested in doing. Year 4 is developing new project protocols. So that's ensuring that you are staying consistent with your goals, not just now, but throughout. And so again, with all departments being on the same page and communicating with one another. And years 5 through 7 is really just the final guidelines, upkeeping the projects that you've been working on, and really preparing for a whole nother open space plan to do another 7-year action plan. That's really a very quick summary, again, of a very long document. And we can open this up now for any questions or confirmations. And again, our Director Lori Muncy will be available for those types of questions. Thank you. And if you have questions and you don't want to unmute, you can also type in the chat, which is fine. And you can also see Lori's email is here as well if you think of anything. I know I just put a lot of information out at you at once. And so you can always email Lori at any point in time. But Lori, I don't know if you have anything as well that you want to add.
If you'd like to download a copy of the plan, we have that on our website. It's in a draft form. We're going to have a final copy probably by tomorrow. We were waiting on the maps, but they've been finished today. So now they're just going to be stuck in the final plan. And on Monday, we'll be finishing up the ADA checklist that was required for some of the recreation properties that weren't done yet from the ADA transition plan. And then you'll be ready to submit.
And Lori, when you say submit, who does this get submitted to?
Melissa Cryan at EOEEA will give you the contact information. Now they take it electronically. You used to do the hard copy, but now it's all electronic. You just email it in. I'll give you a cover letter to go with the plan, and it'll tell her exactly what page to find, what she's looking for, so that she's not looking throughout the whole plan for what she needs to see.
And when we submit that, that's in order to make ourselves eligible for a grant, so it would contribute to the development of our open space, right?
Correct. And you'll also get more points on other grant applications. So if you were doing a MassWorks application or another one-stop program funding, this would be an extra couple of points on your review score.
So the work we do here to identify our open space goals and needs kind of snowballs into possibly some money to achieve some of those goals and needs, and then to expand on that. So I just think it's important that people know that and understand that this is all part of a process that is sort of in and of itself important for us to be self-reflective on what we want and need. And at the same time, it allows us to express that to someone else so that they can help us support us in those efforts.
Exactly, you have a direction now on which way to go and where you need to focus.
Thanks, Lori.
No problem.
A
Yeah,
quick
Megan.
example. Oh, sorry, Lori, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if anyone has any comments that they'd like to include in the plan or questions, you can email me and I'll get your concerns in the final draft, or reach out to you and answer any question you might have.
Yeah, and I just wanted to, on Becky's point, you know, as an example, we just did another one for a different town, and they're working currently on submitting for a grant to, you know, expand off of development for one of their parks that's very well loved and used in their town. And one of the requirements was to complete an open space plan. And so really that kind of just helps not only fill a requirement, but kind of speed along their process of research and development as well. So.
And a lot of the information inside could be relevant to other projects that you're working on. Like all the demographics is up to date now with the 2020 census. So if you ever need any of that resource, it's there.
Thank
If anyone doesn't have any questions, we can close the meeting and just wait for your comments.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Mary. I see we have a lot of, you know, Bob Clark has done a lot of work on this area for the town for many, many years. And Melissa Joyce is supporting these efforts in town these days from the town side. So I see Linda Peterson from advisory. So I don't know the other, who the iPhones are, but thanks to everyone who supports this effort for us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Bye.